I will go to Mr. Dileep first. As we know, the price call is soaring and breaking the level $400 per ton. So how do you perceive that? What keeps coal price increasing and how long can it last?
Well, we've seen a fair amount of activity in this sector from the beginning of last year. The energy crisis was already there before the Ukraine war started. And the Ukraine war has actually compounded the whole effect. I would say in one word, there is a shortage of thermal coal. And now, if we are looking at current, winter is setting in. Gas prices have not been terribly affordable. The continuing war in East Europe has taken its toll and could well have lasting effects. And post-pandemic, growth had begun, and the pressure is very much there with rising power demand. And most unfortunately, renewables are unable to replace because of their unreliability factor at this point of time. All these actually reflect current acute shortage of certain grades of coal. And as China returns with prospects of a very severe winter, they've even had temperatures of minus 47 degrees centigrade in some places. There are signs that their very firm and strong pandemic lockdowns may be easing. And it does appear over the last 1 week that their demand, their pickup, and their internal domestic coal prices have been rising. Therefore, I would basically say that the biggest factor that is impacting price for coal is the supply-demand factor. Demand is rising, and often coal is the fallback feedstock if other feedstocks are unable to perform. And like I mentioned, gas prices have been fairly unaffordable. So the pressure has come back on coal. And it's unfortunate that renewables really cannot replace coal or any other feedstock at this point of time. The prospects of a severe winter ought to keep coal prices at levels which are currently very high. And one must remember how high these are, because just in 2016, the coal price benchmark was actually $48. So this is where we are at this point of time. And if we are looking at the prospects for 2023, ultimately it will depend upon availability. Mm-hmm. And in the absence of funding for coal-related projects, I assume capacities will be flat. It looks unlikely that renewables can make anything up in the short term. So I would think that if we look at forward curves as a guideline, they're all looking like well above $300 for much of 2023.
Okay, so one of the reasons is gas prices is unaffordable. So from Ms. Shuba, in your opinion, what are the sentiments driving coal prices going forward? Do you see the level of coal prices is possible to remain above $400 until next year?
Sure. So here at Fitch Ratings, we don't forecast coal prices, but we do have some price assumptions which we take as the base case for our ratings. So for Newcastle, we do expect some moderation going forward. For this year, we expect the coal prices to be around $350 per ton, but we expect some further moderation in 2023, averaging the coal prices averaging at around $220 per ton. Some immediate drivers behind our expectations would be the warmer than usual weather in Europe, which is a key consumption region as well. And we have already seen some impact on other energy markets. Secondly, we expect that the supply from Australia will normalize in 2023, especially after the cyclone season. And these factors would impact the pricing to some extent. However, overall, we also think that the demand for seaborne thermal coal will be strong, leading to our expectation of strong prices in 2023, though some moderation.
Okay, as the demand is strong, Mr. Dileep, does the increase in coal prices reflect an increase also in demand? What about the demand from China and also India? Is there also an increase in demand in the global market?
Well, yes, I would think that the current coal price essentially reflects a shortage of supply over significantly rising demand. And the Ukraine-Russia crisis, as Shuba has already mentioned, has created issues in Europe who have fallen back on fossil fuels after having gone out of them. And with winter, with India increasing production, as they say, and with China coming back after their pandemic recovery process, which appears to have started, China has also announced a significant number of new coal-fired power plants over the next couple of years. And this means that their demand for coal will rise significantly. They are the largest consumer of coal. They are the largest producer of coal. Their demand is roughly about 4 billion tons a year, and that's going to rise. They currently import about 200 million tons. But I was told that in this October alone, they had imported 32 million tons, which annualizes to about 300 million tons. And after their post-pandemic recovery, where we are seeing signs of the lockdowns being lifted, we think that can go up. And the winter is going to aggravate the situation where stocks which they had comfortably built up would be run down. And like I mentioned before, temperatures are beginning to worry them a lot, and heating can be a problem, both in China as well as in Europe. Russia, we don't know how severely the winter will hit them, but if the winter is very, very fierce, I'm afraid some of their ports can also get frozen out, and that can impact supplies as well to friendly nations like China and India.